I'll be honest, I was a little scared, and it was probably the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my life.
And we are the dreamers of dreams.
Living life, spinning like a merry-go-round, traveling all around the world, you know we get surround. Good vibes only, you know it's the one and only Justin Bravo. Come on, yeah, that's my number one homie. Subscribe, come on.
We're outside, we're practicing our flips and twists and turns and all the things, and you know, trying to get really good this summer. You know, Gabriel's better than I'll ever be, but I'm still trying myself. And I actually just partnered with a few companies that's going to be sending us some gear that I'm super excited about, and hopefully that's here in the next like week. But I'll tell you that we're going to be jamming out some exercises and all kinds of things that are gonna like build the leg muscles and all the things. So the flips are just gonna get easier, faster, harder, all the things, man. I'm stoked. How you feeling, baby Gabby? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a double bounce to Cody. If you know what that is, basically what we're gonna do is I'm gonna bounce him right when he hits the ground, so it gives him like double the bounce power, and he'll go flying, and then he's gonna try to pull off the Cody, and he's gonna explain to you what a Cody is.
Stomach to back flip.
All right, let's try it. Whew. My neck would hurt for days if I did that. Man, I've been really kind of pushing my body to the limits the past few like days and weeks, and really trying to do tons of weightlifting and yoga and stretching to the tramp, and just, you know, even the skateboard kind of hitting the ground a couple times. So it just definitely takes a while to feel healthy again. But you know, I don't know, I feel good, I feel solid. I think that's important to really kind of push yourself constantly, and that's what I've been trying to do every day, whether it be physical or, you know, even in the creative space, like trying to do something that's kind of outside my comfort zone. Because like most limits are kind of self-imposed. They're more like just your own brain telling you you can't do something, or it's outside your own realm. So this even kind of applies to tons of different aspects of life. When I first started traveling, I felt even nervous to go out of the country. It was kind of a tough trip, my first trip, and it was just to Canada. And I remember it was like, okay, well, I need to push and put myself in uncomfortable positions, and I'll eventually get more and more comfortable with this. And then I started traveling to Europe and all over the place, and eventually it just didn't bother me. So I started traveling to places that would make me more uncomfortable. I felt like the more uncomfortable I got, the more I'd get comfortable with it at some point. So I took a trip to Madrid for Rock of Madrid, and I was running the marathon there. But while I was there, I decided I wanted to explore and kind of travel around and see what was to be seen. And so what I did was, I was staying in a hostel in Madrid, and I was just chatting with somebody about neighboring countries and kind of what I wanted to do. And he told me that he had just gone to Morocco over the past few weeks, and was telling me about his experience. I thought it sounded pretty cool, so I just jumped on it. And so the very next morning, this was like at 10 o'clock at night, very next morning at 6 a.m., I hopped on a train from Madrid down to Malaga, which is a little beach city, and which is actually one of my favorite cities in Spain, absolutely gorgeous. After I left Malaga, I took a train all the way down to Gibraltar, and I hiked the Rock of Gibraltar. Then I found a ferry boat that would take me across the Strait of Gibraltar into Africa. And I didn't really plan this well. I mean, I didn't plan it at all. I really just went from talking with someone the night before to doing it the next day. By the time I hiked the Rock of Gibraltar and found the ferry boat and made it across, I was getting into Africa, getting to Morocco at like sunset. And the very moment I crossed over into Morocco, like it was a different world. Things were drastically different, and I was really trying to catch up and catch up quickly. I just read about a small town up in the mountains called Chefchaouen, and it was supposed to be amazing. The whole city is painted blue, and I'm talking like streets and roads and buildings and roofs, and everything is just like this really, really unique blue. And I'd read about it, I wanted to see it, but by the time I made it into Morocco, all the buses had already left. They were down for the day, so I had to hire a taxi to take me there, and the taxis were incredibly affordable, but still it was like tough negotiating in a language I didn't speak, and I had to use some of my broken Spanish to kind of get me along because they understood a little bit of Spanish. But I was able to take a taxi into this town that was 5 hours away. I mean, 5-hour taxi ride in the middle of the night, and then I got into this little mountainous town, and it was gorgeous, but it's still, I had no hotel, I had no hostel, I had nothing planned, nothing booked, and I walked around this town for hours trying to find something, and it was tough. I ended up finally kind of befriending somebody who helped me find a place to stay, but it was brutal. I didn't know what I was gonna do or how I was gonna get home or any of the things. Like it was tough. I'll be honest, I was a little scared, and it was probably the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my life. But at the same time, it was incredibly rewarding because it made me feel so uncomfortable. I was so outside my comfort zone that any other travel I've done since then has felt like nothing. I'm like, who cares about anything I've ever done? Like everything else has felt so like easy breezy. Everything else has felt like just walking in my neighborhood compared to what I went through to get through Morocco. And I did. I mean, I got in a fight with the taxi ride to Chefchaouen. We got out of the car. We almost got into a physical altercation. And just all kinds of problems happened on that little trip to Morocco. But, you know, as I look back at it, I really, really am grateful that I did, because it really set me up to not be afraid of exploring, and it really got me over some fears of the unknown. And that's exactly what I mean. I think that no matter what we're doing, if we're constantly pushing those limits, we're constantly testing ourselves, we kind of just stretch the boundaries. I think our confidence and our mind is a lot like a big plastic bag. You know, if you never push the limits of it, it kind of just stays where it's at. If you go and you just stuff it and push it as hard as you can, it'll stretch a little by little. Now, you don't go too much or you'll get hurt. It'll blow up the bag, but you just keep pushing little by little, you can stretch it out like a balloon. And the more you do, the more you can do. You just keep working yourself up the ladder, and all of a sudden, man, nothing feels undoable. And so I know that I've done that with travel. I've done it on the physical side between marathons and all the things. I've done it every way I can test myself, I do now. And I invite you to do the same. I absolutely enjoyed the experience of Morocco, and I want to do it again. And now that I've done it, I feel more comfortable about it. So at some point, I don't know when, but in the near future, Morocco, I will be returning.